Welcome back, everyone, to another glorious Victoria 2 mod spotlight. This time we're taking a look at Victoria Universalis. You will already know this mod if you've been watching my streams. The past month, actually, I haven't been streaming lately, but you know, yeah. Basically, this is one of those mods that tries to improve the sort of inner gameplay of Victoria 2. What do I mean by that? Like, it's not really very much about the map or the cultures and the pops getting reworked, like something like the Anon mod or HFM that, you know, focus on adding flavor and basically making the map more detailed and more historically accurate, or railroading the game. No, this is a mod that's supposed to help out enjoying just the standard experience by making it so that you have more control essentially over your country. What do I mean by that? We have a nice little tutorial that explains exactly what this is all about. We're in 1836, of course, as you can see. The tech tree, as you can see, is pretty much the same, except one of the commerce techs, I don't remember exactly which one, has been replaced by this national idea thing. We'll talk about national ideas and the unlock province selector soon enough. But basically, this is just a tech that you research instantly, and yeah, it costs 1 research point. It's basically just something that you get every X years. And yeah, basically most of the techs are basically the same. The politics, the reforms, there is a couple of it's mostly just HFM, but it's got a couple different things. For example, the research and development thing and the colonial migration is different. And also the way the reforms work is the social reforms is slightly different as well. Goods did change a little bit. We'll take a look at those later on because they factor into some of the new features as well. Wars at the start are just basically what you'd expect. We'll talk about wars a little bit later when we talk about the, what the AI is like in this mod. And then the other, like, sort of quality to life change is that now generals have a nice little color coding in the UI. So yeah, a lot of things in the UI have been sort of straightened out a little bit more so that they're easier to use, and that is definitely a change that is welcome. Now, actually, I didn't know France started with guards. Okay, it's a bit of Victoria 2 lore, I guess. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, let's check out this tutorial. So welcome to the tutorial of Victoria Universalis. This mod introduces several new features and game mechanics that give the player more control over their province and pops. Decisions with clear instructions on how to trigger them have replaced most events. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, we have province selectors that we have not unlocked yet because... Me too. Wait, what? It appears like I can't do it because I'm in the tutorial. Okay. What? This is the current date collected pot. Really now? What? Huh. Okay. Well, basically, what they've added is they've added a building that's like a temporary building that is this province selector that once you've put it down onto a province, it selects the province and potentially the state. And it unlocks the use of various decisions that can modify that state or impact it in one way or another. And it's these green decisions that you see over here. Again, nicely color-coded. You've got your standard decisions, as you can see, but you've also got, these green decisions and also yellow decisions that are country generic. For example, increasing or decreasing colonial migration, passing reforms. You get every few years you get to just force through a reform, which is going to increase militancy, but you just do that every time, you know. You just do that every time you can so that you can get some reforms done. So that even in very conservative countries, you're not, like, you know, blocked from having reforms. So yeah, that's what the province selector is all about. You'll get to see it in action later. I would like to know more. Mines. They've changed around how resource extraction works slightly. I'll get the RGO map mode. Farms basically work in the same way that they used to. So, you know, your grain, I believe cotton is also technically a farm. You know, wool, all the goods that are produced by farmers work in the same way they used to. The size of the RGO, of the resource gathering operation, is contingent upon technology and state size and blah, blah, blah. But they have severely limited and sort of standardized the size of mines. So the ones that are worked by laborers. For example, as you can see over here, this iron mine has a maximum size of 15,000 because it is a medium mine or whatever, while this this coal, which is a small mine, is only 10K. And for example, this one, which is larger, is 30K. So the max mine size has been lowered between 5,000 to 30,000, depending on the type of location of the mine. Laborers no longer promoted to craftsmen unless their RGO is full, and the excess starting laborers in mining provinces have been converted to artisans. So basically, what this means is that provinces with mines are a place where you're going to really be either getting a lot of excess pops that convert into craftsmen, or if you can't provide the craftsmen, the mine provinces are going to be basically emptying out, and those people are going to be migrating over to where they can actually work farms, because the farms have a bigger size. And what this means is basically the size of the mines is, or rather the total production of mine goods is more, I think, strongly dependent on technology. And yeah, in a game that I've played, you really don't like feel this limitation affecting your total production that much, because again, if you focus hard enough on improving the size through technology and decisions, improving the size of the RGO, you're still gonna get you know, the production that you need. It's just that you need to actually put in the effort and the work for that to happen, and that's, I feel like, a little bit interactive and good. So yeah, rubber, timber, and tropical wood RGOs now employ farmers instead of miners, so that's for the colonial holdings. A province selector decision was added to expand mining size that can be used once per province. This was done to more accurately model historical mining employment and allow provinces to have high output even with low populations. So that's just what I've basically talked about. Basically, also this means that the size of these RGOs cannot like infinitely expand, or rather, the total production cannot infinitely expand. You expand it a few times, and then that's enough. I would like to know more. Research and literacy. Basically, daily average points from, or daily research points from average literacy was reduced, and a new category of reforms called R&D was added that gives plus 0.2 research points and minus 1% tax efficiency per level. So this is kind of like, you know, you're trading tax income for research. Now you might be saying, well, that seems like a pretty no-brainer. Why would I not just completely go for, you know, increasing this as much as possible with my with my increased research and development decision over here. Why can I not just click this, to the max level in like however many years? Well, the reason is that you can only get to the maximum research and development, or to a higher research and development rate if your average literacy is at least, X, right? So basically that's what the literacy does. It doesn't, or well, it doesn't directly translate into as many research points as it used to, but it has the potential to increase, that even further if you're actually willing to pay that tax efficiency, that tax efficiency reduction, right? So for countries that can sort of, I guess, stay compact and have a really, really high literacy in their, in their country, I suppose you can get up to, the very, very high levels of research and development very, very quickly, and that's going to translate into a very high base of research points. So, like for example, right now, moderate research and development, France is getting 1 from that. And I'm not sure if that is calculated into base research points or into literacy. I think it is from literacy. So plus 1.06. I think that's how it's calculated currently. So that's 1.48, 150, 3, 4, 7. No, actually, it's just a modifier that doesn't show up. So you can see it's got, but actually... No. Okay, it's actually literacy, because I get 1.50 from being a great power and 1.50 from my intellectuals and 1 from literacy, which goes into 4 research points base. And then that's increased by 100% from plurality and improved technology, and that goes to 8. So basically, if you're at the end of the game where you can have like, you can have stacked up a lot of these, empiricism, analytic philosophy, phenomenology, research point increases, and you can possibly have like a plus 300, 400%, that like extra 1 research point can end up meaning a lot of research. That's basically that. Yeah, so there are 10 levels of R&D reforms, and each level requires an additional 10% average literacy to pass. Research and development reforms can be raised or lowered instantly and without cost via decision. At the beginning of every year, pops with over 10% literacy will lose literacy at a rate of 0.1% every 10 literacy. So a pop with 50% literacy will lose 0.5, and a pop with 100% will lose 1. So that makes it harder to keep. You're going to need to basically keep your education fully funded even when your literacy is very high. Otherwise, it's going to go down. Now, the max base cap for clergymen is 2% and is increased by 0.5% per school reform level up to a max of 4%. Is not something that I felt in the game that I played, because I played as the Netherlands that already start with like very high school system, much like France does over here with the good school system. So yeah, basically you're going to want to get up to 4% to clergymen in this mod, definitely, so that your education efficiency rises further, and also they provide you with more research points, because yeah. Or actually, right, I forgot, the 2% is for the research points. Colonial Policy. Now, Colonial Policy is one of my favorite things that have been changed in this mod. Unfortunately, because I haven't unpaused yet from January 1st, 1836, it's not actually going to show up, which is a shame, because it's really cool what they've done. Basically, you may know in mods like HFM, you have basically a Colonial Policy tab that has various reforms that represent, like, penal colonies with the settlement, indirect rule, which basically disables colonial migration, and then like, you know, settlement policy, blah blah blah. Basically, what they've done in this mod is they've pushed that over to states, which is, I feel like, a great idea, because yeah, it feels like you wouldn't want your entire colonial empire to be homogeneously managed from a single policy. So basically what you do is that every time you conquer a state or a group of states, you're going to get an event that decides, hey, are you going to be ruling this colony by settlement or by indirect rule? And basically settlement is more militancy and less population growth for non-accepted pops, while obviously disabling colonial migration if you instead decide to pick indirect rule. So indirect rule, the colony functions normally, but you don't get your culture pops to migrate to there, therefore you're never going to get bureaucrats to actually turn it into a state and you know, fully industrialize it, make it literacy efficient, blah blah blah. Or, you know, you can choose settlement and basically have a lot less, well, maybe not a lot less, but definitely less native pops at the end of the game, because the native population growth is lower and they're also angry all the time, so, you know, they're gonna grow less, basically. And this can also be changed because there's a nice little icon that is placed over here in the state UI. And once you, if I recall correctly, once you put a province selector there, you can go into a decision and you can click on this colonial policy, and you can trigger the different colonial policy. So you can even switch over mid-game. You know, maybe you don't want to mess with a state at the beginning, but then later down the line, I don't know, maybe you're Germany. At that point, you've got enough pops, and you're like, I don't know, I want to turn Somalia German. You change over the thing, and then you make it settlement, and you flood it with Germans or something. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely the sleekest feature that has been added. Anyway, generals, we've already seen the generals basically color-coded, and they've simplified the traits a little bit. Revanchism. Actually, I have not really seen how that works out, but apparently that increases your mobilization pool and maximum soldier pop in core states by 0.5%, capped up to 5% each. Well, I feel like you get up to that 5% soldier pop regardless, question mark. Okay. It's calculated by number of provinces lost, not population lost. You can view your current revanchism by looking at the political tab. Okay. Pop promotion. Pop promotion and national focuses have been split into 3 tiers. Large states between 2 million and 4 million population have roughly 2/3 the promotion rate as normal states, as massive states over 4 million populations have roughly 1/3 of the promotion rates of normal states. So basically, this is incentivizing you to do your, you know, you're promoting first in smaller states. States have been redrawn so that no state outside of China and India have over 2 million population before the very late game. Yeah. Basically, this means that there are more states in the game, which is the one sort of big change that they've made to the states in the mod. Yeah. Would like to know more. Healthcare. Yeah, healthcare. I said that we were going to be talking about that. School system as well has been touched upon. Much like in HFM, basically, if you do not have a certain percentage of the slider expenses that are being paid, you're not getting the bonus or the full bonus out of the reform. But what they've changed is that you cannot go up like school systems unless you have the correct technologies. Now, same for healthcare, but healthcare is kind of a pain in this mod, because I feel like it's supposed to be a more comprehensive. It's supposed to be representing a more comprehensive, I guess, I don't know, societal standard for hygiene than just like government-sponsored healthcare. Basically, it has been turned into a mandatory reform to take, and yeah, you might as well take it and then not pay for it, because it's also really, really expensive, like incredibly expensive. But it does give you a really, really powerful bonus because it increases population growth, which is obviously very, very strong. And also it makes pops quite a bit less likely to revolt because it goes directly into the social spending. So yeah, that does eventually make your pops quite a bit less bitchy. Basically, they're time locked and they require certain text to pass, and they have to be funded via the social spending slider in order to get the bonus. You get no pop growth benefit by just passing the reform. In order to receive the benefits of the reform, you must have your social spending slider set to the minimum amount listed in the reform. But yeah, pops really, 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 really want it, basically. So you're going to be passing it. The money spent on healthcare counts as income for pops and is taxed just like any other income. So, and there's another really, really big change. This is one I'm not 100% on. I haven't really seen it in action that much, but basically there is now a World Bank that buys excess goods and has like near infinite money. As far as I know, it doesn't like really buy 100% of excess produced goods on the global market, but this basically is supposed to prevent some of the late game like economic crashes where some goods are just worthless, such as like, I don't know, wood. Yeah, I don't understand the Victoria 2 economy nearly well enough to tell you whether or not this works in a positive manner or not. Yeah. You can read it if you want. Yeah, that prevents the prices of RGO goods from crashing and buying some of the unsold resources in the world market. And yeah, the World Bank is always the last place. So basically, the way that the Victoria 2 market works is that countries gain access to the world market based on their ranking, basically. So first it's the great powers ranked, first to 8th. So basically, if there's only like 100 units of this type of resource that are being sold internationally, and like the first 6 great powers consume 90 of that, and then the 7th and the 8th great power want 10 each. The 7th great power is going to get those 10, and the 8th one is going to get shafted, and then progressively, down the secondary powers and down, lower. The only way to like really bypass this is being part of a market union, which is, a sphere of influence. Like, the sphere of influence of the UK trades first within the sphere of influence of the UK, and then with the rest of the world. And of course, in that relationship, the priority goes to the sphere link. So basically, this is meant to not change anything for the shitty countries. It was never going to change anything for the great powers, basically. What it changes for the great powers, again, is that, like, it's supposed to limit the amount of unemployment that goes on in the late game. And I'm not sure if that's, like, a good idea particularly. Like, I've never really seen particularly big unemployment crises in Victoria 2. In fact, the biggest issue generally tends to be that like some goods like iron and sulfur are lacking, but I don't know. And I feel like having some unemployment and overproduction kind of makes sense because capitalism and all that. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the economy to like really judge this feature, but it does exist. Pro tip. Yeah, no, this is just like telling you like stuff. And you can disable crises. I feel like this is more of a multiplayer focused change. Might as well enable them. Because some other countries can't do shit without them. Anyway, we're going to be trolling the Algerians or whatever. So as you can see now, this has... This has popped up this little icon that tells me that basically we are settling the colonies. And if, for example, I don't know, I don't want Tlemcen. Oh, I have not discovered the thing yet. 100% chance. Come on. Do give me the province selector so that I can show people. I can show the people how this works. I'm not actually playing the campaign. Oh, there we go. We've discovered national idea and we've discovered the province selector. So the way the national idea works is that, as you can see, I have discovered it. And it's popped up this event over here that basically gives me all these various things. And I can pick one of them, and they're going to give me a global bonus that's going to last for the rest of the game. Which is, I think, kind of cute. The only problem is, I feel like it's not really, like, balanced. And I'll explain why. As you can see, there are 6 national ideas. You're gonna get the last one after 1910, and it's not like you choose one and then that one goes away. I'll explain myself. I can pick right now one that like I think is going to be very powerful, such as, for example, industrial goods, mining, assimilation, education efficiency, army organization. I wonder what military supplies does. What the fuck? What is military supplies? Tell me what it is. It's supposed to be popping up here. There we go. So, oh, supply consumption minus... Holy fucking shit, that seems a little unbalanced. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit insane for certain countries, such as Russia and China. Like, have problems producing goods, or the Ottoman Empire, that have problems producing goods, and have, like, giant militaries. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Basically, yeah, that's that. You can basically stack 6 of 1. And that's just... I don't know, it's kind of like... not really all that interesting to me in terms of gameplay options. I'm not sure, though, if it is possible to actually, like... you know, prevent you from picking the same idea like multiple times, because again, and as you saw, it's an event that pops up and gives you that, so you're gonna be needing to, I guess, discipline yourself and not pick the same thing over and over. I don't know. So that's the national ideas. Oh, Saint-Pierre Miquelon. Okay, sure. Basically, that's that. Okay, so for the province selector, let's say that I wanted to not have settlement ongoing. I don't know. It's got Frenchies everywhere over here, but, you know, yeah, let's say that I don't want settlement to happen in Tlemcen. I just click the province selector, it instantly builds it, And I go ahead and click the Colonial Policy, and I pick Indirect Rule. And what that now does is it's now Indirect Rule, and the rest of the areas have Settlement Policy. So yeah, that's how you do it. But as you saw, the province selector can do quite a few things. Basically, let's put it on Paris. On Paris, I can do a baby boom, which is obviously a very, very powerful thing, because it is going to be increasing the population growth and giving me more population. And that's a statewide province selector. But if I wanted and if I had enough money currently, yeah, one of the main things that is supposed to be, preventing you from spamming that too much is that it costs, quite a bit of money, like $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, depending on what you're actually going for, and depending on the, population of the state. Basically, there are different decisions for different population sizes, and when you go further, it costs more, for a more populous state. Anyway, you have your baby boom, but you could also go for the literacy campaign, which just instantly gives you an extra increase in literacy. It's just a nice little pop of literacy, which is very, very useful once you, for example, once you state up colonial states that may not have... Sorry, I'm getting my voice trolling me right now. Okay. What was I talking about? Basically, once you make colonial provinces and states, you're going to have a lower literacy from that. You can use the literacy campaign to great effect because these things are more effective, or they basically have diminishing returns, right? Why did I say right? If I had a state that is 20% literacy, it gains me quite a bit more for my buck. Quite a bit more bang for my buck. It's going to give me quite a bit more literacy than if it were a 60 or 80% literacy state. So basically, this is more effective the earlier you do it, or, the less literacy you've got on a state. Yeah, you can also expand the mines if you've selected a province that has mines, or you can expand the agriculture if you've selected a farm state. Now, to be honest, except for really, really populous countries like China, like India, or whatever, I'm not sure about the Ottomans, maybe Germany. I haven't really found a use or a moment in which my agriculture RGOs got fully filled up. It's mostly just useful for the mines, as I said, because they are more rare goods that have stricter limits generally. But you can also, and this is a very, very powerful thing, you can also change the agricultural RGO, which is also a similar thing to the... I don't remember which mod we looked at. I don't remember the name of the mod. Victoria Expanded, something like that. It was the mod that... it was the insane mod that had the kill communists thing. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. But basically I did a mod spotlight on this mod that had this exact same system with the province selectors. And you had the ability to change around the agricultural RGOs. Now, I have gotten to play around a little bit with this, and it's actually, in some ways kind of insane. Oh, I forgot... There we go. I think this is how you get the money sheet. There we go. I just gave myself some money so that I can show you how this works, because it's actually the sort of coolest part, I guess, that everyone's gonna go for. I can grow opium in Paris. This, of course, due to the limitations of the Victoria 2 engine, that can't exactly like I suppose take into account climate. Yeah, it can't exactly take into account climate, so yeah, you cannot exactly prevent someone from just saying like, oh hey, the grain in Ile-de-France, I go into my trading screen and I go, okay, I'm producing 300 and using 200. I guess the peasants of France don't really need grain right now. Let's turn it into, I don't know, what's the highest price goods? Dyes? Silk? Just go, yeah, just make dyes in Paris. And it's like right now I'm getting 93 pounds and I'm like, dyes in Paris. And it starts shitty, but then it calculates and it's still shitty. Why? This is because I have just switched to production, so I'm getting minus 50% throughput. I'm getting minus 50% throughput, but basically in like 20 years? No, 15 years. In 15 years, this is going to go away and become insanely profitable or whatever. So, in theory, there is nothing that prevents you from just, like, turning, with enough money income, there is nothing that prevents you from turning, like, the entirety of France or whatever into, like, a giant silk, like, production facility. And then you just make, or rather, your farmers just make a bunch of money late game because you have a bunch of luxury clothes factories, and they sell the silk to the luxury clothes factories, and they're always like getting 100% of their everyday needs or whatever. And then your luxury clothes factories make a shitload of money because, because they're like, producing most of the world's luxury clothes or whatever. I don't know. It is abusable. It's also funny, and it's also, like, I think a decent idea because, yeah, sometimes some countries just get really, really shafted with how the RGOs, that are handed to them work. So, yeah, that's not the worst idea ever. I am, yeah. You can abuse it, but it's pretty cool. What else is there to really talk about? Well, I guess the like national decisions. There's a couple of like really, really obvious ones now. There's aid and trade deal, which are only for multiplayer. This is basically just giving money and like making it easier to trade goods between player countries, and giving money and military supplies and military goods to your friends, which just makes sense, to be honest. There's colonial migration increase and decrease, which is one of those reforms that you saw in the bottom right. Basically, this costs tax efficiency, but it increases the colonial migration. Pretty simple. Spread ideology. You can be like, I'm gonna make all of France reactionary or whatever. Obviously, this is pretty like trolly and larpy for things like reactionaries, but like later down the line, if you go socialist, communist, fascist and all that, it's like LARP that makes sense. Yeah, you can in theory turn like your entire country something, but like basically the reason why that's technically not desirable is that it just adds straight up militancy. Basically, by the end of the game, you're gonna get a majority to be your preferred ideology, but if you do it too fast, too quickly, you're going to get a massive fucking revolt. And I suppose maybe that's what you actually want to achieve. I don't know. Sometimes rebellion is cute. Anyway, you get the past reforms, as you saw. So now I can just pass a reform. And I can be like, schools, they're good. And then that sends my pass reform into a cooldown for a long time, because that otherwise it would be very overpowered. Yeah. Another cute addition is the martial law. I say cute because here it says minus 0.07 militancy, but in a later version they have increased it to minus 0.1. So basically this is supposed to try to prevent like your country from just falling to rebels 100%, but you know, it does stifle your country because less tax efficiency and a debuff to pop promotion. But yeah, if you want to just kind of slow down the militancy, you have a tool to do that. And you know, you've got your obvious research and development. Right. So that's the basics of it. How does it actually work though in the, you know, gameplay? I'll say, you know, I'll put my hands forward and say that the version that I played with is not like the version that is out right now. But yeah, it's not the version that is out right now, but it is very, very, very close to what is out, because I've looked at the patch notes and nothing really too substantial has been changed. So I'll just very, very quickly hop on over to the save that I have and show you how things pan out after basically you go, you know, to the late game. Welcome back. So, I don't know why I said that, because you're gonna be seeing it as like a simple cut. Whatever. So this is the game that I've been streaming as the Netherlands. I am currently the Groot Netherlands or whatever, the Greater Netherlands. And I'm also Kami, because why not? I was late in clicking the last healthcare reform, or the healthcare reform that I'm currently at, and that got my pops really, 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 really goddamn angry, and so they Bernie Sanders'd Amsterdam and then turned me into communism for the healthcares. Now, I've mainly jumped into this save to show you how the world has developed, and to kind of give you sort of a bit of an expectation as to what, or a bit of a, you know, window into what you can expect in your own game, and how the balance changes that this mod has made affect gameplay in the long term. Now, in this save, I have not really abused the RGO thing all that much. I've tried to play but mostly normally. And since I'm commie or whatever, I get to do a lot of social spending. So actually, like, my country is a paradise and everyone is, like, you know, like, getting the... Well, not everyone's getting everyday needs, but, like, a lot of people are. And the people who aren't generally are people in, like, random-ass colonies. Or artisans making cigarettes, apparently. But yeah, basically, there's no pop that is not getting life needs, which is a little bit better than, like, almost all countries in 2021. So yeah, fair to say that you can do some pretty good things with the amount of control that you have over your economy and your society, you know, Joker face or whatever. Yeah, the province selector system works really, really well. Now, there is one thing. The AI has been made a lot more aggressive, in my opinion. This mod doesn't really particularly work like HFM, where you have a lot of decisions to sort of nudge the AI into doing certain things. Like, for example, making the Netherlands invade the... Well, there are the invasion of, like, the Dutch East Indies or whatever. What this results in is... But to compensate, they've made the AI a lot more aggressive, and so they're going to be justifying casus bellis all over the place. Now, India, or the British had actually a revolution in this save, so British India fell apart, and as you can see, the result was that Portugal invaded India. Actually, here right now it's Spain, but originally it was Portugal. They decided to just fuck it, invade some of the countries that were released, and then Spain invaded Portugal and got those colonies and further expanded. So yeah, the AI is a lot more dynamic, and the result is a random Persia and a random Russia, reaching into India. Mega Burma. Yeah. Now, the Scramble of Africa works in a similar way to most mods in that, like, countries get casus bellis that are, like, basically free on African uncivilized countries. So that's that. It's supposedly really, really fun to play as, like, some of the West Africans because they've actually expanded that area quite a lot. I'm not sure if you saw earlier when I was, panning over Africa, just how many tags there are over there. Now, East Asia is quite a bit different. I'm not sure what they did to Japan, but it's not nearly as fast in modernizing itself, although one of the changes that they've made to one of the later versions has made it so the Boshin War can be triggered earlier. So yeah, Japan, I guess, got a buff. And the Chinese, this was very, very famous because Bokoen1 made a video on this mod, and like in a previous version, the Chinese Empire was able to westernize really, really quickly. In this version, they have done away with that. It's 1903 and they haven't westernized yet. And once they westernize, they break up into the warlords anyway. So yeah, you won't be getting taken over by the ultra-ching, super high-tech empire space doom. Yeah, that's basically about it. AI a lot more dynamic, kind of dangerous. Germany, insanely powerful in this mod. You're gonna need to find a way to nerf that yourself because, as you'd expect, they're really, really strong. Now, one thing that I'm not really liking in this late game is that compared to HFM, there's a lot less flavor in the late game. It seems like they've gone back to the sort of Victoria 2 vanilla approach of having flavor decisions be mostly confined to the early game and the mid game. And for example, political decisions that you used to get, like the Great Purge or whatever, that are, dependent on you being a certain ideology, and I believe also genocide, don't seem to be in this mod yet. I'm not sure if you can actually play this mod with HFM. I feel like it's probably a bad idea because they both changed the map. So yeah, I feel like what would be even best for Victoria 2 is if there was a way to somehow integrate the province selection tool and some of the pop mechanics and economic mechanics with a mod like Anon HFM. Because, yeah, I really, really like this mod because of the mechanics that it introduces. But what I really don't like is the lack of flavor, not just, as I said, with decisions, but also, for example, with cultures. The cultures are just basically the normal Victoria 2 cultures. And that's, like, really, really yikes, because that means that France is 100% homogenous. Also, there aren't really all that many cores for releasable nations. You have your Catalonia or whatever. You have your Sardinia, Piedmont, all your Italian things, obviously, and all your German things, of course. But, like, for example, France is all homogenous. Britain, you've got your Scotland, you've got your Ireland, but you don't have Wales, you don't have Cornwall. I mean, I guess it makes sense that the USA doesn't have subcores unless, you know, you do the funny. Is Quebec cores? Yeah, they do exist. Yeah, basically not... Oh, there are the Brazilian states, though. So I guess this is a bit of a hope that they're going to be adding more of those, you know, sort of flavor releasables down the line. But yeah, that's basically underwhelming compared to even HFM. Obviously underwhelming compared to Anon mod, which is super on the regard of, you know, just fucking up Europe with weird random tags that you release. You know, fucking randomly releasing Crimea or whatever. Oh, apparently Crimea is a thing over here as well. Or, you know, randomly releasing like the Don Cossacks. And having like a bunch of different culture types that's, you know, more accurately represent the very, very diverse the demographic framework of a lot of countries in the 19th century and the early 20th century before ethnic cleansing decided to be, you know, a thing. Yeah, basically that's about it for the Victoria Universalis mod. Really good. A couple of things I wish were a little bit... Oh, and another thing that I've noticed is that the AI is a lot better at building navies for some reason. Now, sometimes those navies are just transports, but sometimes those navies are actually like real combat fleets. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. Actually, I wonder if I can disable the fog of war. I forget the command. Whatever. I forget the console command. But yeah, for example, as you can see here, the Workers' Commonwealth has decided to build mostly transports, but at least they've built ships. Okay, it's not like the normal Victoria 2 AI that just forgets about ships after a while. I do like that. Yeah. A few things need improvement. Countries are definitely a little bit too stable in the late game. Again, possibly because of the World Bank just buying a bunch of goods and making everyone a little bit less mad. I wonder if I can tag over to Australia. What's the tag for Austria-Hungary? Damn. I actually don't know the Austria-Hungary tag. Okay. Well, let's tag over to a country that is usually very, very mad. Russia. Currently they have 1.88. Yeah, they have like 0 unemployment, but they're Slavophiles, so they're interventionists, so they can actually subsidize factories, and probably they don't have that many craftsmen either, so that makes sense. Yeah, like for example, look at Russia. Like everyone's getting, you know, life needs and everyday needs as Russia. This is what I mean. Like this should not be happening really. If you're playing as Russia, you should be having like people starving. You know what I mean? Because it's historically accurate for this time period. I am sorry. I hope you did not hear that. You probably did, because this microphone is really good. Yeah, this should not be happening. Okay. Especially not with full taxes. Yeah, basically this is the result, I think, of the World Bank trolling. But oh well. Oh well. Anyway, that's about it for Victoria Universalis. I feel like I don't need to say anything else. I do want to thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you soon. And as always, have a good day. And troll.